What is jealousy? First of all, the way the word is used, you may be jealous that I have a mouthful of dried apricots, and you may think, oh, I would also really like to eat them. You may also be jealous that my parents are paying me an apartment. Well, I can do whatever I want. But you can also say, yeah, I'd rather be independent. Which I absolutely understand. Because sometimes I feel jealous of people that lead a normal life. That have a girlfriend and that simply work in a cinema or as a cashier, and maybe they may not really like it, but it's alright. The problem is that as soon as I do anything else, I just go insane. This is the only job that I can do because I need a lot of silence. I need a lot of alone time. I'm not making this up. This is really the way it is for me. And so sometimes I feel really jealous of other people. Because I think like they have it really nice. And then they see me doing what I'm doing and they think, oh, I think I could be jealous of him. Yeah, it's like sometimes we think we hate someone, but we're actually jealous of them. So, I didn't really have a definition now. I don't even remember if I already did that one. It might be possible, but if so, I'm doing it again. I just saw that image and I was thinking, okay, I'm planning ahead. I'm doing June now. What haven't I done yet? And then I was looking for ideas so that things don't get too repetitive, which is a challenge, certainly. And then the idea came, hey, I could do this now. And now I'm talking about jealousy. And despite the fact that I still think that I've already done that one, I'm still doing it. Because maybe I have a different kind of perspective on it now. Because sometimes maybe we were jealous or we used to be jealous before, but that started to change. And I think, for instance, I was often jealous in relationships. So when I'm just gonna say girlfriend, because that's, I think, what it was at the time. You cannot really say wife, because it just didn't feel mature enough to be that kind of relationship. And what it then was that I was jealous at usually I was jealous at other men. Because often in these relationships, I didn't really get the attention I would have liked to get. I didn't really get the attention I would have liked to get. And then it really hurt that when you have a girlfriend and when you're at home in a relationship and you don't really speak with each other, people even do that in marriage. They don't really engage with each other, but then they leave the house together, and because then both of them try to be overly friendly and pretend like everything's fine, they just talk with everybody else like they're having a good time. And it even goes to the degree that girlfriends flirt with other men. And so jealousy Yeah, in German, I think the word is Neid. If you turn that around, it says dein, which is yours. And that sounds a bit like claiming something. Yeah, the word jealous doesn't really spark that much in me. Gel, you could go for that. It's like gel, a gel, something sticky. Yeah, so that would that would go to clinging. Jealous, right? It's like something, I want to stick to you, because that's also the way it feels. It's like fear. You're clinging, you're really clinging, and so you don't want your partner to talk to others because you're really afraid that your partner is cheating on you. Now then the question, of course, arises, where does the cheating start, and aren't you doing the same? Because I've been just going through, I don't know, some kind of hell, maybe it was a heaven, where I tried to imagine how I would just live a different life. And it just turned out that I'm not. And that's usually the conundrum with living in fantasies. Because sometimes you just know something, and you hate that you know it, and you wish you wouldn't know it, because since you know it, you have to take responsibility for it. And when you know you love someone, and when you know you want to be with someone, but that person just pisses you off so much, you just wish you would forget it for a second, so you could just go and sleep with another woman, right? But the problem is, that's what happens to people that get drunk, right? They just forget for one night that they're married, and then they sleep with another woman, and then they have to suffer the consequences, and that may be a lot of anger. And I feel like I don't really want to deal with that, right? I don't really want to deal a lot with anger. Sometimes I really like to anger my wife. Because we're at the moment not together, but that's the really weird thing, because I can feel her. I can feel her roaming around inside of me, and when I even only imagine sleeping with another woman, she throws a tantrum. Like, I can literally see the way it would go if I would invite another woman into this apartment. I have the feeling my wife would just come and, even though she doesn't talk to me, she would just beat the shit out of me. That's just how I feel about it. And yeah, sure, just now it makes me smile, because even from a distance, without directly speaking with her, I can get emotions out of her. And that's an interesting concept. Like, you could actually try that. You could spend time with your partner and just imagine having sex with somebody else, like really imagining it, and just see if their mood changes. Because sometimes we have partners, and they say, "Oh, I'm not jealous. Yeah, I'm never jealous." That's usually the people that are really jealous. Like, they have to literally convince themselves that they're not jealous. But sometimes they're so suppressive of you in the relationship that it actually shows that they are jealous, because jealousy is fear. It's one manifestation of fear. And so what is really jealousy? I don't really know. But it certainly is fear. It's the fear of losing someone. And fear is one of the opponents, you could say, of love, of course. And that's like one of the duality things. Yeah, I mean, that's also a bit weird, because people say everything is love, but I actually don't think so. Because it's not that everything is love, because if you look at the yin and the yang, okay, is love the center, right? Is love only the center? And is the yin, wait, the yin? I think the yin is the white, but I don't really know these things. I don't really know these things. I also don't really go to great length to know these things. I mean, I sometimes look at them for a specific purpose, but I don't have internet, so how am I supposed to know that? I think the yin is the white and the yang is the black. And now if you imagine that your chakras are split into the lower chakras and the higher chakras, and in the center is the fourth chakra, and that's the heart, that's the middle. Now the lower chakras is all this like kind of the root chakra, the navel chakra, and the solar plexus chakra. And then comes the heart chakra, this is the middle. And then comes the throat chakra, and then the third eye, and then the crown chakra. And now the throat and the third eye and the crown is more like, that's all connected to this kind of, speaking truth, higher wisdom, spiritual enlightenment, and all that kind of stuff. And then the lower chakras are all connected to fear, sexual desire, overeating, all these kinds of things. And then in the middle of that is the heart. And that's where people say this is where the love is, right? This is like where the Holy Grail pours out all its fluids. And that's also somehow connected to intuition and all that kind of stuff, because it's connected to emotions and feeling. Now, if you think about that, jealousy is an emotion of fear, then you could think that fear is there and you feel the fear, but instead of becoming the fear and being really jealous, like everybody's afraid of being cheated on. And then the fear rises, and then you take it to your heart. And then in your heart, you feel the fear. In your center, you feel this incredible fear, and it makes you angry, and you hate your partner, right? But you want to love your partner. So what do? Now you have your lower three chakras feeding you fear into your heart, and that may actually result in closing your heart. Now what you can do is you take either your throat chakra, or maybe your third eye chakra, or maybe your higher wisdom thing, or crown chakra, and you look at the emotion you're feeling in your heart, and you're looking at it and you're asking yourself, what does that mean? Like, where does it come from? Like, okay, I feel fear. And that's then where you say that's the kind of the rational mind. But you can also call that the witness. But if you're only trying to be the witness, you're never gonna feel a thing. Because you can also use the witness to run away from your emotions. But the witness is supposed to allow you to feel anger, to feel fear, but to be a little bit rational about it. So you can be really jealous and really hate your partner. But you go to them, and instead of saying, you're gonna cheat on me, yeah? Or instead of just closing your heart and saying, I'm never gonna sleep with you again because, or I don't want to speak with you because you probably don't love me anymore, you go to them and use your throat chakra to express the emotion that you're feeling in a somewhat I'm open to healing sort of way, which is you would say then, what would you say? You would say, I love you so much that it hurts. I love you so much that I am so afraid that you're gonna leave me. It's incredible. I want to be so close to you, and I actually never want to let go of you. I hate other people when they talk to you. That's very often. So I really have the feeling we need to spend more time with each other. Because that's the solution for jealousy. Because you're only jealous when you feel rejected. when your partner isn't giving you enough. But you also have to phrase that, because in a partnership, it is a relationship. And, I'm now on basically the footstep of saying to my wife through my actions, I fucking hate you because you don't talk to me at all. I don't give a crap about what you send me telepathically. I don't give a crap about that I feel you roaming around inside of me. Because you're a fucking coward and you can't even pick up the phone and send me a text message and say, hey, I really would like us to talk about this. You can't even do that. So I'm at this point where I'm so angry about this soul contract that I got myself hooked in that I just want to destroy it. But now the problem is it would be really unfair because I'm still in this thing and it's still happening to me. So sure, I can make my partner jealous by having thoughts of sleeping with other women. But maybe you're in a different relationship, right? Maybe you see your partner. You can actually go to your partner and say how you feel about the way you are living together. I see this in a lot of married couples at an advanced age that just live side by side with each other. And as soon as one of them is trying to open up to the other one is just picking up their phone and it's like, oh yeah, yeah, and that's fear, right? Some people are so afraid to open up, you just want to punch them in the fucking face. Yeah, and I see that in my parents. And at the same time, you also realize that there is a lot of jealousy, which is fear. And then you see sometimes my mother trying to open up to my father, and my father just jumps into work. He just sits there all day because he's too afraid to open up to his wife. And now I have the same goddamn thing with my wife, which just doesn't contact me because she's a fucking coward, and that's just the truth. I've been sending her millions of messages, emails, and then sometimes my feeling says, just stop contacting her. Yeah, but I'm literally at the point now where I think I'm just done. Because this is ridiculous. This is not a relationship. This is not, I think, what I signed up for. Because I thought, it's like, you open up to spirituality, you meet a woman, you love her, you sleep with her, you think, now we're one, now we have to work towards each other. That isn't happening. Which means the contract is basically nullified. Which means what am I even jealous about? Which means I can just go and find somebody else. But now I have to face the consequence because I know that my wife, at least, right, is working towards being somewhat free. I know she at least likes practices such as dancing, such as yoga, such as meditation, that she is being trained wherever she is in these kinds of things. I know she's kind of living her life, right? She's making her experiences. I don't know what she does on the side. She might be hugging other guys all the time. Sometimes a voice comes and says she's living like a nun. Well, it's possible, but it's also possible that she's just screwing around. And I'm not sure if I would know it. Now the question always is, am I going to screw around first? Or would I only be screwing around because she's afraid that I'm screwing around? Because I actually haven't emailed her yesterday. And it started yesterday that I was feeling incredible fear. That I was feeling a lot of fear piling up inside of me. And that was probably her fear, because for a couple of days now I've been emailing her every day, every single day. And now I stopped because she never responds. And I'm really on the verge of saying, the first woman that I connect with, I'm just gonna jump her and I'm gonna shove it in your face that you cannot do this shit to me. You cannot just ignore me for the rest of my life because you're a fucking coward and you're just selfish about whatever you are or whoever you are because I think you're a real phony. You know, I don't really care if you don't believe in yourself, right? Because that should be your challenge. If you don't believe in yourself, then you have to make a choice. And you should see it as a challenge and do something about this. But since you don't do that, I have to accept the fact that you're not who I thought you were. That you're a fucking coward, I fell for it one more time. And that's all there is to it, right? You want to be a hero, you want to be courageous, then go and be courageous, right? Why do I have to be like that kind of saint that walks around and says, I've got a wife, I'm married, I'm spiritual, so I have to be with this one woman for the rest of my life now. Right? If she cannot even take responsibility for what she wants, this is maybe sounds to you a lot like assumptions. But if a woman looks you in the eye and says, I've seen my husband, then that to me sounds very serious. Because if you have a vision for your life and you're too much of a chicken to make it a reality, then you deserve to be rejected.